car in number 1 in this list is the biggest failure in automotive history, and somehow it became more famous than every success we've ever covered, more recognizable than a Ferrari, more iconic than a Lamborghini, and it happened completely by accident. 7 cars that broke the companies that built them, billions of dollars destroyed, careers ruined, factories closed, and the stories behind them are more dramatic than anything that's ever happened on a track. By the time you reach number 1, you'll understand how the world's biggest automotive failure became the most famous car ever made. Number 7. Jaguar XJ220. In 1998, Jaguar unveiled a concept car so beautiful that 1,500 people put down 50,000-pound deposits on the spot. V12 engine, all-wheel drive, promised to be the fastest production car in the world. Then Jaguar changed the spec. The V12 became a twin-turbo V6, all-wheel drive became rear-wheel drive, and a recession created the luxury car market at the worst possible moment. Buyers sued to escape the contracts. Cars that cost 470,000 pounds new were reselling for under 100,000 pounds within months. Jaguar built 281 of a planned 350 and quietly closed the program. The XJ220 held the speed records for years. Nobody cared. Here's what makes this entry sting. The XJ220 is actually a phenomenal car. If Jaguar had launched it without overpromising, it might be revered today. The failure wasn't the car, it was the gap between what was promised and what was delivered. One car, one collapsed promise, a few hundred million lost. The next entry, 2 companies, 2 collapses, $2 billion. Number 6. Fisker. Henrik Fisker designed the BMW Z8 and the Aston Martin DB9, 2 of the most beautiful cars of the century. So when he launched his own electric car company, the industry expected greatness. The Fisker Karma was a plug-in hybrid that looked like nothing else on the road. Then the battery supplier went bankrupt. Hurricane Sandy destroyed 300 Karmas sitting at a New Jersey port. The images of hundreds of luxury cars submerged in floodwater became one of the most shared automotive photographs of the decade. The company filed for bankruptcy in 2013. Fisker tried again. The Fisker Ocean launched in 2023. It lasted less than a year. Quality issues, software failures, and a cash crisis forced a second bankruptcy in 2024. Over $2 billion in investor capital destroyed across 2 ventures, 2 companies, 2 collapses, 1 designer who couldn't make the business match the vision. $2 billion sounds catastrophic. The next entry lost almost that much on 500 cars, and the car wasn't even a failure. Number 5. Lexus LFA. This entry will surprise you. The Lexus LFA is widely considered one of the greatest driver's cars ever built. A naturally aspirated 4.8-liter V10 that revs to 9,000 RPM and sounds like a Formula One car from the early 2000s. Toyota spent 10 years and $375 million developing the LFA. They built 500 units at $375,000 each. Total revenue, $187 million. Total cost, $375 million. Every single car sold at a loss, not because the car was bad, because Toyota engineered it beyond what the market would pay for. The LFA didn't break Lexus. Toyota absorbed the loss. But here's the question this entry forces you to answer. Is it a failure if the car is perfect? Toyota's accountants would say yes. Every engineer who built it would say no. That tension between business and craft is why the LFA belongs on this list. $188 million lost on 500 beautiful cars. The next entry lost $29 billion. Nobody got a beautiful car out of it. Halfway through, and if you've noticed a pattern, you're right. The first 3 entries failed because of bad timing, bad luck, or engineering that outpaced the market. The next 4 are different. These failed because people in positions of power made decisions that destroyed billions, and the scale of what's coming makes everything so far look small. Number 4. Chrysler-Daimler merger.
Excuse me, Dr. Z, a quick question. What have been the benefits of the merger between Daimler-Benz and Chrysler?
Okay, get in.
In 1998, Daimler-Benz and Chrysler merged for $36 billion. German precision meets American scale. It was presented as a partnership of equals. Daimler CEO later admitted it was never intended to be equal. The cultural clash was immediate and devastating. Mercedes engineers sharing platforms with the team that built the Dodge Neon. Chrysler's leadership systematically replaced. The company that created the Viper and the original minivan, one of the most innovative forces in American automotive, was hollowed out from the inside. 9 years later, Daimler sold Chrysler for $7.4 billion. They'd paid $29 billion in destroyed value because two companies with nothing in common were forced into the same building. And the people who made the decision faced no consequences. $29 billion destroyed, and nobody went to prison. The next entry, the man behind it, was put on trial. He was right about everything, and the industry buried him for it. Number 3. Tucker 48. Preston Tucker believed the American car industry was lying to its customers. In 1948, the Big Three were selling cars with minimal safety features and planned obsolescence. Tucker thought he could build something better. He was right. That was his mistake. The Tucker 48 had a padded dashboard, a pop-out windshield designed to eject in a crash rather than shatter, disc brakes, and fuel injection. In 1948, every one of those features eventually became standard. The padded dashboard in the 1960s, disc brakes in the 1970s, fuel injection in the 1980s. Tucker was 30 years ahead of an industry that didn't want him to succeed. He built 51 cars. Then the SEC charged him with fraud. Many historians believe that the case was influenced by the Big Three, who saw Tucker's safety-first car as a threat. Tucker was acquitted on all counts. It didn't matter. The trial destroyed public confidence. The factory closed. Preston Tucker died in 1956 at 53. 47 of his 51 cars still survive today. Tucker lost everything for building a car that was too good. The next company lost $6 billion for building a car that was too good, except they did it on purpose. Number 2. Bugatti Veyron. Every other entry on this list lost money by accident. Bugatti lost money on purpose. Ferdinand Piëch wanted a car with 1,001 horsepower, a top speed above 400 kilometers an hour, and the refinement to drive the Opera in comfort. The result was the Veyron, a quad-turbo W16 engine that required 10 radiators to cool. Every unit took 3 weeks to hand-assemble. Volkswagen priced it at 1.2 million euros. Each one cost between 5 and 6 million euros to build. That's a loss of roughly 4 million euros per car. They built 450. Total program cost, over $6 billion for 550 cars. Piëch didn't want a profitable car. He wanted proof that Volkswagen could build something no other company on earth was capable of building. A 253 miles per hour luxury car that could idle through traffic and then break speed records. The Veyron was never a product. It was a $6 billion statement of intent. Number 1. DeLorean DMC-12. I told you at the start that the number 1 entry is the biggest failure in automotive history that became the most famous car on Earth. Here's how. John Zachary DeLorean was the youngest division head in General Motors history. He ran Pontiac at 40, created the GTO, the car that invented the muscle car era. He was GM's golden boy. And in 1973, he walked away because he believed the American car industry was morally bankrupt. He started the DeLorean Motor Company to build an ethical sports car. Stainless steel body, rear engine, gull-wing doors. He secured British government funding, built a factory in Belfast during the Troubles, and hired 2,600 workers in a community that desperately needed them. The DMC-12 launched in 1981, 130 horsepower from a Peugeot Renault Volvo V6, underwhelming for a sports car. The stainless steel showed every fingerprint. The gull-wing doors leaked, quality control was inconsistent, 9,000 were built before the money ran out, and then it got worse. In 1982, John DeLorean was arrested in Los Angeles. The FBI recorded him allegedly agreeing to finance a $24 million cocaine deal, money he intended to save his company.
John DeLorean, the automaker arrested in the multi-million-dollar drug case, will apparently spend the weekend in jail. He's been unable to raise the $500,000 cash deposit required to meet the $5 million bail that's been set.
Footage was broadcast on national television. DeLorean was acquitted. His lawyers argued entrapment, but the company was gone. The factory closed. 2,600 Belfast jobs vanished. And that should have been the end of the story. Except in 1985, a filmmaker named Robert Zemeckis needed a time machine for a movie called Back to the Future. He chose the DeLorean DMC-12. And overnight, the biggest failure in automotive history became the most recognizable car on Earth. A car with 130 horsepower became a cultural icon that Ferrari and Lamborghini have never matched for sheer recognizability. Children who weren't born when the factory closed can identify a DeLorean from 50 meters. Not because of anything John DeLorean planned, because a director thought the gull-wing doors looked futuristic. Today, clean DMC-12s sell for $40,000 to $70,000. A company in Texas continues servicing the surviving fleet. The car refuses to die. That's why it's number one. The DeLorean is the only car in history where the failure is the reason for the fame. Strip away Back to the Future and it's a footnote. Add it back and it's immortal. No car on any list we've ever made can claim that. 7 cars, 7 stories about what happens when ambition outpaces reality. Every person behind these cars believed they were building something the world needed. Some were wrong, some were right at the wrong time, and one became immortal by accident. Tucker was robbed, the Veyron was intentional, and the DeLorean shouldn't be famous, but is. Which story hit you hardest? Tell me. If you're asking me, Tucker. Every time. Every safety feature he built in 1948 eventually became standard. He saw the future before the industry was ready for it, and 47 surviving cars are the proof that being right isn't always enough. Next time, we're flipping the script entirely. 7 luxury coupes that cost a fraction of a hypercar and make every one of them look like a bad investment. Subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.